Okay, hello everyone. Here I will review the chapter after the mid-text with book Cultural Theory and Introduction by Philip Smith. We began from chapter 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Happy watching! The final text segment is Cultural Theory. Number 1. What material was obtained during the course of cultural theory? Number 2. What lesson learning from cultural theory subjects? And 3. What next activity will be done after knowing or learning from cultural theory? Okay, Chapter 8. Culture, Structure, and Agency. 3 attempts at synthesis. In this chapter, talking about the relationship between system of meaning and human action. It is a very difficult book, but at least it becomes more intelligible with each reading as the reader adapts to Bourdieu's vocabulary and style. Readings by Giddens are somewhat easier. The first part of the Constitution of Society provides a time of lesion. A rather compressed way to become familiar with the complexities of structuralism theory. Chapter 9. British Cultural Study. In this chapter, talking about the field generally known as British Cultural Studies has become one of the dominant players in the contemporary culture theory. It is so powerful that when some people speak of cultural study, they often implicitly refer to this area and its progeny. The author empirical study discussed in this chapter are also within the range of most student readers. Choose on youth subculture are perhaps the most entertaining. Even if they are now a little dated, perhaps the best overview of the field is by Graham Turner. Chapter 10. The Production and Reception of Culture. In this chapter, talking about research on the production and reception of culture, covers a number of fields, most notably mass communication, film and television study, and sociology. It has also been informed by a number of the diverse theoretical paradigms contained in this book. Despite this pluralism, we can uncover some common principles which animate the present perspective. It goes a long way toward demonstration that these are never just free-floating abstraction. Their existence is always grounded in a real actor, a real institution, and a real historical setting. This is perhaps the most important lesson to be learned from the theoretical tradition we have reviewed in this chapter. Okay, Chapter 11. Cultural Aesthetics, Narrative, and Hermeneutics. In this chapter, we'll learn about culture as text. Today, it is a commonplace to observe that culture or social life is a text, and that it has to be interpreted. For some perspective, however, this dictum is more axiomatic than for others, although it is central to many forms of structuralism and post-structuralism. An attention to the story-led qualities of social life is perhaps strongest in those theoretical approaches that are concerned with narrative and hermeneutic. The lesson learning from in this chapter, we can explore in a more detail their impact on cultural theory, about cultural texts, and the description of narrative and hermeneutics. Chapter 12. Psychoanalytic Approaches to Culture and the Self. In this chapter, talking about the relationship between cultural theory and psychoanalytic theory is a complex one. There are clear affinities in us so far as both see social life as essentially about meaning and emphasize the need for interpretation. The relationship becomes turned over two themes. First, psychoanalysis. In its traditional form at least, has tended to focus on the pathologies of the individual rather than on collective phenomena. Secondly, there is a tendency toward psychological and biological reductionism in much psychoanalytic talk. For contemporary cultural theorists, psychoanalytic theory has greatly overridden the most elaborate and attractive discourse on the self. It is an area marked by continuing theoretical innovation that has attracted a number of formidable thinkers to its ranks. It should be noted, however, that reservations are often expressed about this approach. Okay, in the last chapter 13, the cultural analysis of postmodernism and postmodernity. In the area of cultural theory, few concepts have generated as much anxiety and controversy as that of postmodernism. The bar revolves around a series of related terms: postmodernism, postmodernity, postmodernization, and globalization. Okay, after I learned for this colleague, I understand the definition of cultural and culture as the pillar of some of the newest kind I have learned. I'm still trying to understand things more easily and clearly because I bring cultural terms to a great range of meaning. For the next activity, I will more likely try to find meaning that are far-fetched and connected to the meaning of cultural. Can also learn to analyze independently things that I might not yet understand. Will not stop studying and find out in order to become people who are not quickly satisfied with kind. Thank you for watching, and I hope you can stay healthy and happy.